Hi there, it's Kevin again from the Nissan Figaro Owners Club, and another little video here. This one is about how to put your roof up and down. Okay, it sounds fairly easy, I'm sure, but there's a few little things that I'm going to sort of point out which are quite useful to you. Before I do that, I'll just point you to this, which is this is a small information sheet that you may or may not have got with the car. If you have got it, keep hold of it, because these are obviously worth a few pennies, and obviously it shows the authenticity of the car, and so keep this with the car at all times, although you probably can't understand it because obviously it's all in Japanese. But anyway, I'll put that to one side. So what we're going to do here is just take you through basically how to take the roof down. The first part is obviously fairly simple by using the switch in here, and this switch in here, basically as I do it, you'll hear that basically runs to a solenoid at the back that releases the boot, the rear boot mechanism. There is another little trick. If the battery is dead, you can actually get into the boot from using the rear boot here. Basically you can get into this boot, and there'll be two wires coming down. I'll show you those in a second. So what we're going to do is, obviously we've done that now, I'm going to come to here and lift this up. So I'll just run you through where those points are I've just been talking about. In here you'll see basically these are the solenoids that are connected to the switch that we've just done, and running off of here we've got some wires here. There's one there running around there, there's another one here. Okay, these little wires go down into the boot, and basically you can, by pulling those, you can basically release the boot as well, so you don't actually need the solenoid to work, just in case you've got a flat battery. So coming on to basically how to put the roof down, you will notice first of all that when I've opened up the boot, I've basically got these straps taut, and this is one of the most important things about basically how to put the roof up and down. I think make sure that you always put the straps basically back like this, because so often what happens here, and I've seen it so many times before, is that these straps are just left loose. I'll finish with the roof now. What happens is that ends up there. I know it looks like a million and one chance of that happening, but believe it or not, it can happen, or that can happen up there. Okay, and then what happens is basically people don't realise that's what's happened inside, and they drop the boot down, and what happens is you get a horrible buckle, and you can actually see cars that have got this, because what will happen is running along the back of the boot, when the boot's down, you'll see like a little gap there, and that's where they've left the buckle in there, so not good. Always try and put these back together. Okay, a couple of other things you're going to see here is that it should be two springs here, and this supports the roof and squeezes it down basically when the roof is down onto these two rubbers here. Okay, it is a wet boot, and that's what these holes are here for, and they're drain holes, go to a couple of pipes. So the roof is designed to be wet. Basically what happens with the gully here, it comes down and it will come inside the boot. So the boot is not a dry boot, it is a wet boot. So don't put things inside the boot like coats and stuff like that. If it rains heavily, they're going to get wet. Okay. One little tip you could do is go and get yourself a plastic bucket or something to put inside there. Quite a good thing. Right, so here we go. What we're going to do now is, obviously the first thing to do is to clip that on there. You've probably done all this quite a few times before. We're obviously going to make sure that these are clear, so you pull these to one side. Obviously what we don't want is these to be in here when the roof comes down. I'll pull that over like that, and then grabbing it in the corner here. Okay, just get it up to there, and then these little handles here are really what this is meant for. So pulling it down very, very gently, allowing it to drop down. What I also tend to do sometimes is fold these, because sometimes you'll get like a funny fold. So sometimes you'll find that the roof won't quite fold right, so it's probably worth doing that. Obviously I've only got one hand here, so it's going to be quite difficult to do, but obviously this goes around like this, that goes over like that. Clip these down, and then obviously as you tighten these up, pull the back one up, basically the roof will come down, and you can see these here will will basically push onto these brackets here. So that's it. And to put it back up again, obviously everything's in reverse. Pulling that round again, grabbing hold of these handles here. There's one at either side, so you can do it from both sides of the car. Lifting it up, okay, and then leaving it in that position, coming back inside the car, just opening that up and making sure everything's completely clear. Also, a little tip here is make sure that these don't get caught in here, because sometimes when you pull it up you'll find that those little webbing straps just get caught inside the roof again. So like that, and you should hear a little spring. There we go. And these should just clip over to make sure it's locked. What will happen actually if it's not locked, there'll be an alarm, because these have actually got little switches on them, so it will be an alarm that will tell you that the roof is open. So going back to here again, obviously I'm not going to do it because I've only got one hand, but as I said, make sure that that these webbing straps are all clipped up, and I tend to do it completely up, putting everything back as it was. There you go, I'm doing it with one hand. So here we go, like that. Put it nice and taut. Okay, making sure everything's free, and dropping the boot. What I wouldn't do is just not push it really hard, because that's probably not going to do it a lot of good. So just drop it down very gently, and then you will hear up. There we go, you've just clipped it in place. Same this side. There we go. Obviously look for the gaps here, make sure that that's even. That should be even. It should be coming down. There should be like a 2 or 3 mil gap all the way running around here. If it's not, if you've not got an even gap around the back of the boot, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to adjust this section here, and there's 6 bolts here. This whole rear assembly can actually be moved up and down, so you can actually adjust this really finely to run flush with here. And as I said before about the webbing in the back of the boot, that's where you'll see it. So if you run your eye along here, it's quite good actually if you're buying the car as well. What you'll see, you'll notice that cars have had that buckle inserted. Then basically you've got a gap here or here, wherever. So anyway, I hope that's been useful. As I said, it's fairly self-explanatory really, but there's little tips here that you could find useful in the ownership of the car. Okay, that's all for now. Cheers, bye.